Ladies and gentlemen, how do?
Hello and welcome to Mondo Street Social Club, a new podcast aimed at bringing creative minds together. Mondo Street is about sharing the creative process, discussing the highs and lows, and talking about how we cope when the creative genie eludes us. Pull up your comfy chair, put in your best headphones, and enjoy the next hour. Hello and welcome to Mondo Street Social Club. Today I'm joined by Kimberly Voice from Rogue Awakening, who is the singer for Rogue Awakening, and her surname really is Voice. So, Kimberly, hi.
Hi. It really is voice.
It really is, yeah.
And we have a joke that I spent a long time trying to find my husband just to marry him for his last name. I don't even really like him. Shouldn't have said
I was going to say because it's almost if that was your maiden name, it's almost like being predestined to be a
that. I
singer.
know, right? I know.
Yeah.
Disappointing that it's not. I should say that it is, but
Nah,
I had to marry a man for it.
well, as long as it's not a stage name, but you're fine. So that's yeah, voice. Yeah, wow. So Rogue Awakening then. So
Mhm.
a female fronted
Yeah,
hard rock band
yeah,
with elements of alternative and punk and rock.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have quite a diverse kind of genre, I think, because we've all got really diverse musical tastes.
Okay.
So we have the lead guitarist, Ollie, and our bassist, Nick, who really are into quite heavy, hardcore. I mean, one of them listens to bands that has like pig squealing noises. Just the kind of bands where you cannot read the font of the
Yeah.
name, so you have no
Yeah.
idea what they're called. Those that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think my influences are a little bit more melodic. I
Okay.
grew up with a lot of kind of 70s and
Yeah.
80s rock.
Mhm.
Love a bit of Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's very diverse. We're a little bit of everything.
So you've got two singles. You've got Bored and Overshadowed, and Overshadowed is the one where you're doing the lead vocals, and
Mhm.
you can really hear that melody coming through.
Yeah,
That the way that you're using your voice
yeah,
is something that you don't often hear in the harder rock, the harder metal.
yeah, absolutely, because it is
Yeah,
a lot more melodic. I
yeah.
think we first recorded and wrote Bored, when the band first formed. It was a good kind of at the time, it demonstrated us quite well, but it was relatively simple. We hadn't necessarily found our sound or, how we wanted to be perceived by everyone at that point. So it's nice we recorded it. We didn't really think much was gonna happen with it. We just wanted to have a record of it for our own, for fun. And then Overshadowed was the next step up from that, I think. That was definitely when we started to find our natural sound and our influences are kind of merged together. And, yeah, you can tell there's quite a leap, I think, between Bored, which is still it's a good catchy song. Overshadowed is a little bit more mature, I would say, and probably closer to our musical sound and how that's evolving naturally anyway.
Yeah, when I listened to Bored the first time, it reminded me a little bit of a band called Stiff Little Fingers.
Oh, yeah, I remember them, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering because you mentioned Ollie in the band, so
Mhm.
you've got Tom, Nick, and Kyle.
Yeah.
Which one of those is the old punk rocker?
I think accidentally we're all the old punk
Oh,
rockers.
right, okay,
I don't think we have a specific old punk rocker.
right.
I think we have between us kind of melded, that's not a word, melded into, like I said, having so many influences, it's kind of created this sound. It's often quite hard when people say, "Well, who do you sound like?" I find it quite difficult to
Mhm.
describe who we sound like.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, we played a show in London a couple of weeks ago, and a guy came up to me afterwards and said that we gave him really intense Bukovi vibes. If
Oh,
you've heard of
right.
Bukovi, who I
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
absolutely love. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll take that," but we've not had that before. That's very niche. So
yeah.
yeah, it's quite cool. I find it hard to explain or describe who we sound like.
Yeah,
It is quite varied, I think.
yeah. I suppose the trite answer is ourselves. How did the band form then?
Well, this is quite a story. I'm glad you
Okay,
asked. In fact, let me tell you.
okay.
So at the beginning of the pandemic times, when we couldn't really leave our homes, um, there was a guy outside my house. This is gonna sound it's gonna start off sounding a bit creepy actually, which I'm gonna enjoy because when the rest of the band listen to this, hopefully they'll find it more amusing. So, the rhythm guitarist, Tom, was in a play park that was outside my house with his daughter, who goes to school with my son, and we just sort of just accosted him in the play park because I was losing my mind. Um, there was nothing for anybody to do. It was the pandemic and we had to stay 2 meters apart. I hadn't spoken to people or seen people for days. And, I sort of mentioned to him, how's he keeping himself sane? And he said he just started playing some guitar again. I was like, oh, I used to sing in a band back in the day. We should sort of form a band. And I think he just thought, yeah, all right, weirdo. Um, and then, yeah, it just kind of just it grew and evolved really naturally from that point and surprised both of us, I think. We started off just doing some acoustic, songs and covers together. We were doing kind of like remixes or reworks of 90s songs acoustically, which was good fun and really nice to have a creative outlet, and good for us to kind of form that creative relationship as well because, he really genuinely did not know me. I just accosted him in a park, which is what I do to most of the people I know. So it was interesting, I think, for him to suddenly be, doing music. He'd never done anything like this before, whereas I've had experience singing in bands when I was much younger. Yeah, and it just evolved naturally from there. I had a friend who I remember played drums. So once the pandemic had lifted, we got into the rehearsal studio for the first time together, and I accosted Kyle to come in and do drumming from us. He came from more of an indie kind of background, but just was super happy to be out of the house and playing drums. So that was a really and the 3 of us kind of started from there, and then we found Ollie, the lead guitarist, on the internet. And you know how I mean, I think it's like any relationship. Being in a band is quite a dysfunctional family, and
Mm.
we all just slotted together, and it was quite effortless. So when Ollie came in, it was just like, "Oh, yeah, this is who we've been looking for." He originally came in to play bass.
Right, okay.
So, he started off as our bassist, and then quite quickly was like, "No, I want to play lead guitar," which I'm so glad he did because they're all ridiculously talented, but Ollie as lead guitar is just ridiculously talented. And then he knew Nick, the bassist, who then just came in, and it was like we'd all been together for years, and the whole thing evolved very, very quickly, very naturally, without much effort, which is basically the way I like to do everything in my life.
You mentioned that you've sung in bands before when you were younger. Uh,
Yeah.
Anything that anybody local might know or
So originally I was based down in Brighton in West Sussex. So for a long, I think Brighton's East Sussex actually. Sorry, getting that right, in Brighton. And I was in a band called Damn Dirty Humans, who were a little bit more kind of electro pop stuff.
okay.
It was quite different. It was the late 90s, early 2000s. So it was very kind of like the gossip. We often got compared to like being on the Skins soundtrack. I don't know if you remember that TV show, quite contemporary and current at the time. And yeah, we had some success, played some really good shows, got to support the Human League, which was really
Wow.
cool experience. So I got to perform in front of, thousands of people, which was amazing. Um, yes, that was really a fun experience for me to do, and I think then once that naturally disbanded, had a big hiatus, just, being a musician, you know what it's like. It can be an enormous output of energy and emotion, and sometimes you just need a little bit of a step away from it, which then allowed me to grow as a human person, and kind of evolve as a woman as well, and find my kind of strength and power as I've got older, to then come to this band as basically a totally different, better version of myself than any band I've been in previously. Because I'm more experienced now. Also, the whole industry is totally different now. Totally different. It's bonkers.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing that it's totally
I'm not
different?
sure, the jury's out.
Yeah.
I'm still but there's some things that are really positive. I would say being a female in a band, when I was first doing this, so in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was not many females in bands, and if there was this weird competition between you. There was not a lot of, support for the sisterhood. There was this kind of like competition, a bit of battle between you, and you're always trying to outdo each other, and it wasn't very pleasant because I'm not very I can be hideously competitive, but I don't like competing against other women. It just doesn't feel natural to me. Um, but now, what we're playing with loads of amazing female fronted bands who are fierce and powerful, and there's so much love and support for female because it's so male dominated normally that it's just that's really refreshing. That's a whole piece of the industry that I'm loving, and young, like young females as well in the early 20s who are just bringing this like ferocity and this power all this amazing stuff that they want to say, which is really inspiring. I wish I'd have been like that in my 20s. Uh, so yeah, people should have been scared of me then.
Maybe they were, but for a different reason. Maybe,
Probably for a different reason, yeah.
yeah, you are who you are now because of all those life experiences getting you
That's so
to
true.
today. And
Yeah,
would you have recognized or exercised that power in your 20s the way you can now? Yeah.
probably not, probably not. It's different now. But the thing that's I think has changed the most is trying to get live shows. It is just a game changer now, you know, there's so few venues. When I first started, there was a lot of venues. It was very easy to get live shows, but there wasn't the social media presence. Whereas now getting live shows is quite tricky and there's a real onus on the performers or the artists to now do basically all the all the work. So the promoters don't seem to do much promoting. They're like, "You've still got to bring all the people, you've got to do all the promotion on social media, and you've got to show up and perform on the night." And that to me is like that's a bit of an alien concept. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure when you first start working for, like, a new venue or a new promoter.
Yeah, because social media is it's a strange beast, isn't it? You can attract the audience that you want, but you can also attract the audience that you don't want.
Yeah, absolutely, and you could attract an enormous audience on social media, but that doesn't equate to them actually leaving their houses and paying a fiver or 7 quid or whatever to see you live. So it's really it is a very interesting way of trying to get your music out there and trying to kind of play in front of people, which is what we all want to do really and share that kind of but some of the best shows we've done have been, you know, when we've been on stage first, to quite a small, let's call it intimate crowd, but where we've had loads of energy because we felt really free and that there's no pressure on us, so we can just perform. That's when we enjoy ourselves the most, I think.
So with all of the different musical tastes within the band members, how easy is it for you to be free in your creativity? Do you all kind of work along the same lines? Do you work a day a week? Is it a set routine, or is it something that you just kind of like free flow around?
It's quite free flowing because we all have commitments and responsibilities and jobs. And most of us have got kids and all that boring kind of stuff. So it is quite free flowing. I knew when I came back to doing this crazy band stuff that I wanted to have a very supportive and encouraging environment, which meant that any of the musicians I was working with could have total freedom to bring any idea to the table, no matter how bonkers it is, just so that we could try it. Because I think sometimes we may start off with the bare bones of a song that seems like a mad concept, but you just don't know where that's going to evolve. And I didn't want anybody's creativity to be stifled on. So I really wanted everyone to have a lot of freedom, a lot of confidence to share, and also that it's more enjoyable for us because there's no judgment at all. We've all tried stuff that has at times sounded shocking. I was going to say shit then, let's say shit. And but, that's kind of part of the process. We have to be able to bring everything to the table, the good bits and the bad bits. So, it's very free flowing. Anyone can bring any ideas forward. We've all kind of written, different chords. I play a tiny bit of piano, so sometimes if I have something stuck in my head, I'll try and demonstrate it very, very poorly to the guys on the piano, um, just so that they've got the chords. And it's just, yeah, all of the songs that we've written have evolved naturally. And the one Overshadowed, which is one of my favourite songs, and I love doing it live, just it feels like it wrote itself. Have you ever had that experience where
Yeah,
you
yeah,
play
yeah, yeah.
a song and it's almost like like an out of body experience? I can sometimes hear the melody out from outside of my head, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'll I'll, uh, I'll add something there. If you have a listen to the first episode of the podcast, it's
Mhm.
with a singer-songwriter called Carol Hodge, and we talk about um, what we ended up putting a trademark name on it because we couldn't think of another way of describing it. The stream, and it was this idea. I think it was Elgar that said it first, that
Uh-huh.
music is around us all of the time, and
Yeah.
it's up to us how we pick it up and pluck it down. And yeah, and when we're in
Yeah.
a creative moment, we
Yeah.
are more perceptive to that being there.
Wow, so we tune into it.
So we tune into it.
I've absolutely had experiences of that, and I don't think I've even said this to the rest of the band because I think they already think I'm a crazy witch anyway. So, but I sometimes will they will be playing something and I'm trying to get a melody, and I will literally it will sound like somebody in the room is singing the melody, and I'll look around the room thinking, "Who's singing that melody?" And then I'm like, "Right, I'm taking that. I'm hoping I'm not plagiarising. There's probably somebody in another band next door."
Well, that's a very hot topic for today, isn't it? With Ed Sheeran's verdict in New York. Yeah, I think that's yeah, it's open season on any song from any artist at the
I'll take
moment.
it. I'll have it. No one will know.
Yeah,
Fine.
just reference the color blue like he did, and you're thinking to yourself, what? Strange little man. Yeah, no, but that I think I've spoken to a lot of musicians over the past couple of weeks, and they've all spoken about that moment where it's almost like you're on the motorway and you put the car into sixth gear and it's cruising,
Mhm.
and that's your mind and your body and your creativity. Yeah, the
Like,
sweet
as a
spot.
musician, it's the sweet spot when you can get that, and I feel like Overshadowed for me and a song that we've been working on, that we're actually recording on Sunday, which is gonna go onto our, new EP, which we're gonna release in July, is called Feed Me Fire, and again, the song the boys in the band might all be like, "Oh, we snogged over this for hours," and, there's blood, sweat, and tears, but for me, it feels very much like, it evolved naturally. Everything slotted into place, and it was that sweet spot when it all comes together, and it's like, "Oh, the best. Oh, it's the best."
So, do you bring a producer in, or do you produce the songs yourselves? Because the recording on Overshadowed is really good.
Yeah, thank
I've got
you.
this thing about soundstage. I like a big sound, but not too big. Not Frankie Goes to Hollywood, where everything's 10 foot wide, but it's
Mhm.
got a real good soundstage to it, so it's easy to pick out the individual instruments and they're not
Yeah, love
overpowering your voice.
yeah, love that. So, we use a local studio and a gentleman called Nick, who is a really, he's become a friend of the band really. So we record at his studio, which is called Ignite AMR. And, yeah, I think when we recorded Bored with him the first time as well, and I think he kind of understood our sound, but it was a lot stripped back. Like I said, it was quite simple, and we were still trying to find ourselves. When we took him Overshadowed, it was a lot more formed. Like I said, it had kind of evolved naturally anyway. So he was then able to say, "Right, I am now starting to see your personalities, how this all combines, and how this works together as a structured song." So he was then able, I think, to have a bit more freedom. So again, we give him quite a lot of sort of artistic freedom with how he does it, and he'll send us the stems, and we'll kind of put our input in it, and we all like to record in the same room together. We're all there for it, so we'll be giving kind of ongoing feedback as we're recording. And then he came to see us live for one of our last shows, and again he was like, "Now I've seen you live, I can now see the juiciness, the spiciness of your kind of live sound and what you're trying to do." So he's now going to incorporate that into the next couple of recordings that we're doing with him. So I feel like they're going to be another level up.
Yeah, because a good producer understands the musicians, not just the music.
Yeah, absolutely. He does, because when you're in the studio with for whole days at a time, and it's small, we're saying intimate, aren't we, for
We
small
are.
things? Very intimate in there. And you all do get to know each other very well. But I think that kind of and he can see the dynamic. He can see, and he's not afraid to push if he thinks Kyle can, change the drums a little bit or try a different tempo or rhythm, he'll push it, and he picks up the bass guitar and is like, "That needs retuning," or "Can you" he's very hands-on, and we like that, we like that to be part of the whole kind of family dynamic.
Have you, as a band or as an artist in your own right, have you ever had a creative block?
I mean, I have them all the time.
Right, okay.
I think, sometimes you'll be trying to write a song together and you'll just keep hitting the same there's something not quite you haven't hit the sweet spot and you're looking for it. But if you're looking for it, you're not gonna find it because that's kind of how it works. So we will then we try and rehearse once a week in the rehearsal studios, and we'll try to just come away and do something totally different, go outside, get some air, do something different, creative to kind of open and remove that block. The beauty of doing vocals and lyrics is that I can sneak away and spend days on my own trying to find the melody or trying to find what I want to say. Because often for me, it's really important. The lyrics and what I want to say are really key, so I don't just want to say any old thing. And, Tom's the rhythm guitarist, and he does the vocals with me too as well. He's really good for, banding ideas back and forth. So if I'm struggling with a melody, he'll be like, "Have you tried this?" And I'll be like, "I don't like it." And then he'll say, "You never like anything." I say, "This is the usual kind of banter that we have." But then I will still use his melody, and I'll take elements, um, and try and piece it all together to find it. So I think at times we've probably all had that block, but then I think you just have to walk away from it. You can't force it. It's creativity, right? You can't force it, no matter how frustrating it is.
I think that's a really good pragmatic way of looking at it, because a lot of people will actually try and get into that zone, and that can be detrimental.
Yeah, absolutely.
Putting more pressure in a situation.
Yeah,
We,
absolutely.
yeah, it's yeah, it's very very powerful. That. So you said you're going to do some recording for a new EP on Sunday. How many
Mhm.
tracks can we expect on that?
There'll be 4 tracks. We've already recorded, so 2 of them are done already. Bored and Overshadowed will be part of the EP, 'cause I think it's gonna encompass our kind of journey over the past year. Then the next song on there is called Dark Thoughts, which again is a slightly different change. It's a lot more emotive, very melodic. The vocals are shared jointly between Tom and I, which is really nice for him to start showcasing his voice. And I think our voices together are really complementary. And then after that, we will have Feed Me Fire, which is again, I think, a bigger it's our next the next step up in our kind of evolution and our sound. Again, it's gonna be a bit bigger, I think, and we love playing Feed Me Fire live. We love it. Every time we've done it, there's been such good energy and feedback for it. So, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm excited to get back in the studio on Sunday.
Apart from you'll be tired at the end of the day, but it's a good tired, isn't it?
It is a good time. We often say that. We when we go to rehearsals, we do rehearsals in slots of 4 hours, which doesn't seem like much. In 4 hours, if you're sat at home, I don't know, like, doing a puzzle or playing PlayStation or having some beers with friends would, fly by. But when we're in the studio or in the rehearsal room all together, we don't often have a break either. We really do kind of use that time to try and get in a zone, and be creative, and then we always come out of it absolutely so exhausted. Takes a lot, doesn't it?
Well, that's the sign of a serious band, because you're putting the energy in to your rehearsal that you'd put into a live performance. So it's very important. So as a singer, that
Yeah, I like
yeah,
that.
you like that. You
I
can
like
have that one. There you go. Uh, so as a singer, then who have been your inspirations? Who do you look to as to be saying, well, she's a good singer or he's a good singer?
oh my god, that's a really good question. I don't know that I can even answer that very easily. I think I have got loads of influences and they change all the time. So I'm very much into female fronted rock bands, obviously. We went to see Hailstorm last year as a band, little band trip out. And Lizzie Hale, lead singer of Hailstorm, just blew my fucking everything off. I don't know how else to describe it really. The power and intensity and ferocity in her voice and her stage presence was just like I was in awe the whole time. And then I think I mentioned before I was a big fan of Fleetwood Mac for a long time, so I've always really enjoyed again, my voice is nothing like Stevie Nicks, but I've always loved how Stevie sounds. And again, just her kind of relaxed attitude on stage. Everything seems to come naturally to her. Yeah, so I don't think there's any one in particular. I like to take lots of different influences. Um, and I grew up when I grew up, there was a lot of new metal, so I kind of grew up listening to Evanescence, thinking about female fronted, but, also one of my all-time favorite bands was Nine Inch Nails and Korn, and just that whole kind of new metal, melodic but quite powerful, vocal, I think has definitely influenced me.
I will never cease to be amazed by the fact that no matter how many musicians I talk to or artists, everybody references Nine Inch Nails at some point.
Hey,
Everybody.
because Trent Reznor is an absolute genius.
He is beyond genius, if
He
you ask
is
me.
he's scary, his brain is scary, and the fact that he can also do these incredible soundtracks, like instrumental, just blows my mind, yeah.
Have you ever looked up his first band on YouTube?
Who were they? Not
Uh,
Audrey.
no,
Audrey? No, that was
I,
Jonathan Davis's, I think.
I think it was Big Bamboo or something like that.
No.
It's actually quite funny because he's playing keyboards for them, and I think it's a five piece. So you've got four guys in the foreground who are all dressed quite similarly, quite relaxed, smart cash, as they'd
Uh-huh.
say. And then you've got Trent Reznor in the back playing the keyboards with a black leather jacket on, looking like, I don't want to be here. I really don't want to be here.
You can tell he's just questioning his life choices and also formulating what Nine Inch Nails is gonna be like. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it always surprises me that they are the one band that consistently people
Oh,
reference.
I love that.
Yeah, and considering that some of their output is less than family friendly, yeah, yeah.
That's a very good way of putting it. It is less than family friendly. Yeah, I love it. I've seen them live a few times and each time, yeah, and I think I saw them once at Brixton Academy, and they were doing some incredible visuals as well that just enhanced the whole. I mean, it was like an emotive spiritual experience to kind of be part of that. It was amazing. Would recommend. 5 stars,
Five
definitely.
star. Get you onto TripAdvisor straight away, madam. Thank you very much. So you've all got jobs and you've all got kids and you've all got families. There's definitely a future for this band getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh, thank you.
How does that look for you though? With all of your responsibilities, you've already done the touring part before.
Yeah,
So you have a flavor of what's
yeah,
to come. How does that kind of like sit with you in the band that if all of a sudden somebody said, you're playing Glastonbury for 2 days next
yeah.
year, and then you're going to do the festival circuits, that how would that sit?
I mean, that is a good question, isn't it? I think obviously we would find a way to make all these things work because we enjoy it. We love writing music together. We love performing together, and we feel like our music is quite relevant and that people can relate to it. So I think anything we can do to get it out there, we will do. We will try our absolute hardest to do. I don't know what all of our spouses are going to say about this, but that's a separate discussion to have. But I think we the whole Rogue Awakening's been wonderful in how it's just happened very, very naturally. And again, I feel like we have not done a great deal of foreplanning for any of these things. And whatever the future may hold, I think we will just find a way to kind of go with it naturally. And just we're also that bit older with responsibilities. So we are enjoying every bit of this, every experience that comes our way. We're just like, yes, we want to try this. Yes, we want to do it. So I think we'll figure all these things out. Time's right.
Yeah, and you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it for
Yeah,
enjoyment, which is
that's
critical, isn't it?
huge.
You got to love it and you got to have passion for it.
Absolutely.
Where did the name Rogue Awakening come from?
Well, um, the funny story is, I really didn't like the name to begin with. So I, I really like the idea of a juxtaposition in a name. I think it's very cool. And it was at the beginning of the pandemic. So I liked this idea that we had all kind of had a little bit of an awakening in our own ways. And it was so different for everybody. You know, for me, life changed so dramatically, and I was suddenly working from home in my little tiny home office every day, not really seeing people. And I worked for a film company in London. So before that, it was very sociable, very creative. So for me, I had this very um, claustrophobic experience where my awakening was that my life was so busy and so full beforehand that actually I wasn't really getting any time for myself, and that was actually something that I really needed to be a creative person. So and then we also like the idea that, you know, for me, and again, I've probably never even told the rest of the guys this in the band, I became really obsessed with the fact that, like in the first week of the pandemic, there was a crazy amount of sex toys and stuff bought, and I just thought everybody's got this little roguish thing in them that they're thinking, "Right, we're locked down, let's masturbate."
Yeah, the great British pastime.
Exactly. So in my head, it's this wonderful kind of like juxtaposition between everybody having their own personal awakening at any time, which is part of, I think, how we evolve as humans. And then also this idea that everybody's got like a little bit of a rogue or a darker side in them. Like I'm a huge fan of that. Kind of shadow side. And a lot of my lyrics and the topics that I sing about are about having that and embracing that kind of darker shadow side of your personality. So Rogue Awakening kind of encapsulated it, but I did not like it because I thought it was a little bit too Star Warsy.
Oh yeah, that now
Because
that hadn't.
see, now I've put that out there, I shouldn't have said it. Shouldn't have said that, should I? Because I'm not really a Star Wars girl, but
Okay,
there's 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 Star Wars names, aren't they?
there is this Rogue One, which was a Star Wars film.
Really know this.
Uh, well, I'm talking to a heavy metal singer. I can't say yeah. I know all the Star Wars films straight away, can I?
I wouldn't judge you, go ahead.
uh, yeah, don't judge me. Yeah, it was a film called Rogue One. Yeah,
Yeah, so I've heard, yeah, so I've heard. And then there's some kind of awakening thing, but, the guys in the band do like Star Wars, so eventually I've accepted it, and now it's grown on me, and, we've worked Tom in particular has worked very tirelessly to create a kind of logo and image of, um, someone that we call Alice, who is the kind of main logo of the
yeah.
band.
That was my next question.
Oh, look at me foreshadowing what you're
See,
gonna say.
see,
That's right.
we're in the zone,
We're in the sweet
the
spot.
sweet spot. Yeah. My next question was,
Yeah.
who did that? Who did that graphic for Rogue
So
Awakening with this almost like a Celtic warrior behind
Yes,
it?
she's a Viking shield maiden.
Viking shield maiden. Sorry.
That's it. Celtic warrior, Viking shield. To me, she's quite kind of pagan goddessy, which again I'm a massive fan of. So we commissioned some designers to do that work for us, and I actually don't know what they're called, which is awful. So I'll apologise immediately for not knowing that. But we gave them. I think Tom in particular gave quite a varied or vague idea of what we wanted, but again, it had to kind of encapsulate the name, and we liked that kind of, know, Viking shield maiden, powerful woman. But we call her Alice as her nickname because of I have a tattoo on my arm of a kind of like dark feminine goddessy vibe, and Tom's mum thought that my tattoo was originally of Alice Cooper,
Oh
which
no.
then became like a kind of ongoing joke and banter between us because it's clearly not Alice Cooper,
Yeah.
but
Thanks, mum. Yeah.
yeah. So we just call her Alice. So that's now become an extension of our Rogue Awakening warrior woman. Um, that's a bit of a mouthful. Try saying that a few times.
That would.
Rogue Awakening,
I don't know if Kyle has thought about doing this, but that would look great as a kick drum skin.
we've only just got to the point where we've got Rogue Awakening, the actual font on the skin. But yes, it would look.
Yeah, it's a cracking one. It really is.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Okay, so now a couple of not curveball questions, but questions
Go on.
you wouldn't normally be asked, or at least I think they're original anyway. If you could be in any band, which band would you be in? And you're not allowed to say Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, I tell you what I would do, and this is a curveball answer.
Okay.
There is a pagan kind of Norse band called Heilung. Don't know if you've heard of them, and they do like these incredible live shows where they're all about kind of nature, lots of paganism, and they retell old folklore and story tales. Is that a word?
Yeah.
That sounded weird. Story tales. They retell them um, in I think most of it's probably sung in Norse, but they play with, and like massive drums, and it's just this really emotive kind of spiritual cinematic experience, and I'd love to be part of that because it's pretty wild.
As a singer,
Yeah.
okay, which current singer is massively overrated?
Oh god. This is awful, isn't it?
Sorry.
Um, I mean, we have mentioned Ed Sheeran, haven't we? I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I'd go with that straight away.
I'm sorry, Ed, if you're listening to this.
Yeah. I, if Ed Sheeran is listening to this,
Don't sue us. We
yeah,
haven't stolen
yeah.
anybody else's songs.
If you're listening to this, Ed, get off my podcast, mate. Um,
Oh, shit, we don't like you. Yeah,
yes.
I don't understand. I'm pretty open-minded.
Yeah.
I can normally find something that I'm like, "Okay, it's not for me," but I can understand why other
Mm.
people like that. But yeah, I struggle with.
So we've done band you want to be in. We've done which singer's overrated. Um, you play a little bit of piano. You've said already.
Yeah, but let's not talk about that because it's an embarrassingly bad amount of
Okay, well,
piano.
I wasn't going to. I was going to ask you if you couldn't be a singer,
Yeah.
what else would you be in the band?
Oh, okay. I think keyboards and synths would be really cool because I also love what that can bring to metal and rock music.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's got, I would probably do that.
Hmm.
But in my heart, I'd be annoyed that I wasn't being a singer. And also, what last name would I have?
You'd have to marry somebody called Keyboard or Roland.
Oh, Roland, or
Oh,
just Keys. Keys would do.
cheese.
Or yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'll stick with what I've got, I think.
I think. Yeah,
But yeah, keyboard or synth.
particularly if he can hear you as well. I'd just say stick with where you are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If he's listening, yeah.
Yeah. So how long then before we see Rogue Awakening, the album? Because obviously an EP is great to get awareness out there, but this band deserves an album.
Oh, thank you.
So
I do. I definitely want us to do one. So again, when we started, we never thought that we would necessarily even be playing live, and we recorded Bored back in the day last year to just have a record of what we'd achieved so far, and every little step has evolved us that next little bit on. So I think we've got enough songs for an album. I would love for us to have a full album, so it just encapsulates and captures everything we've achieved so far. So yeah, I reckon probably next year. I think if we keep going at the pace we're going, then yeah, I think it'd be really nice to have something for next year.
worst band you've ever seen live. So you've gone to it, you bought tickets, you were looking forward to seeing them, and they were pants. Name and shame.
Mm. Oh, this is some harsh questions. I like it. I think it would be. I was disappointed by a couple of bands when I saw them at Download. Incubus, do you remember Incubus? Yeah, so I've always wanted to see them live, and I think they struggled with the sound. It just wasn't great, and the stage presence was off, and I think they were just thrown by whatever was going on. So I just couldn't get into them at all, which was really disappointing. And I also saw the Prodigy, who couldn't do no wrong as far as I'm concerned, but they they were really all over the place. And it was a little bit wild. It was a bit too wild of an experience for
Yeah.
me, I would say.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Let's just put it like that. They were sort of holding their microphones absolutely nowhere near their mouths.
Right. Yeah.
And I just know as a singer that's like probably the first rule that you have to do. Just hold that. That's the one job you've got to do
It
really.
is really, isn't it? It's the one
Yeah.
job is open your mouth, microphone near open mouth, make
And then
noise.
hope that the right noise comes out.
Yeah.
That's all I do. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so five of you in the band.
Mhm.
Who's the troublemaker?
Oh, that's a good question. Not me.
Ah,
Um, they'd probably all say me.
yeah.
Who's the troublemaker? I think probably between them, Ollie and Nick, in the best possible roguish, most wonderful ways. So, if anyone's going to get very, very drunk and excitable, it will be Nick, and then he's hilarious. And Ollie can be pretty wild and rock and roll as well. So I think probably the pair of them together. And they've got a long history of being in bands together as well from when they were about, I don't know, 14 or 15, so they've got very lovely camaraderie, and they kind of, yeah, they can encourage each other for a little bit of mischief, which I'm a fan of.
Now to chip away at the metal credentials slightly. Which one of the band has got the most embarrassing musical taste?
Oh, this is a good question. I think we've probably all got some guilty pleasures that we cannot talk about. Probably Kyle has the least rock metal musical credentials, I think, out of all of us. Yeah, so I'm just gonna say Kyle. First album I ever bought was Take That, so that's terrible, isn't it? I mean, that's some serious blasphemy.
How old were you when you bought Take That?
Probably old enough to know better. No, I think I was probably about 11,
Right.
uh, and at 11 thank you. At 11, I hadn't found my way yet. I mean, I've since made up for it by being, having amazing music taste, it's been very rock and roll since, but, oh, it wasn't a good day. It wasn't a good.
That's actually a very good question. You know, what is your first single or first album, and how has your taste evolved since that point?
It's gone from really shit to really good.
It's really good. Thank God.
Thank God for that.
I know. Yeah, I would hate to be doing an interview with somebody who's in a Take That tribute band.
Oh, I
So,
won't tell you about my Take That tribute band
oh
then.
no, oh no, oh no,
I
don't
just feel
make So what gigs you've got? The is it the Brighton Fringe this weekend?
Yeah, so we're playing the Brighton Fringe on the 20th,
20th, yeah, that's right.
which is at Lewis Road Inn, which is gonna just be a lot of fun. You know, Brighton, I don't know if you've ever
I
been
have, yes.
around in
Yeah,
Brighton while the Fringe is on. It's always got such a lovely energy and atmosphere, and it's always so exciting to be part of it. So we're just, yeah, we're excited to play. Um, and then we are gonna do our EP launch in July, so there'll be lots more information. We're just finalising the bands that we wanna play with on the night, so we'll have some more information about that going up on socials soon. Yeah, we've got lots of really cool stuff hopefully happening this year. We try to do one live show a month, which to a lot of kind of performing and touring bands isn't very much, but because we all have other responsibilities, we don't want to we save it, and then we are able to put on a really good show with a lot of energy, and we're well rehearsed and well rested. Well, just what you need from a metal band, isn't it?
it is.
Um, nothing more rock and roll than that. So yeah, at the moment we're just aiming for one a month, but one really good one.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan and something that'll forge ahead. So both Bored and Overshadowed are available on streaming platforms.
Yes, all the streaming platforms they're available on. Um, yeah, so you can find them nice and easily. And actually, Overshadowed's performing really well on there, on Spotify in particular, which is really nice.
That's good. And you've got Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah, we do. So
and
all of
Twitter.
that social stuff is at Rogue Awakening Official, and you can find us and follow us. And we try to put up quirky, I mean, very driven by Tom, who has got a very creative and like comedic mind. So he's the one who kind of instigates and orientates the little band banters that we put on social media. So yeah, we don't try to take it too seriously.
I'll put the social details on the episode as well, so that when people go to listen to the episode, they'll be able to see everything for you. Um, all that remains for me is to say, Kimberly, voice, which I'm still need to see the driving license for.
I'm gonna send you a picture of my driving
Okay,
license.
thank you very much. Love the singles. I think the band is brilliant. I am really, really lucky. You know, I've started this podcast for artists, but I am meeting people that are truly interesting to me.
Yeah, I
My
love
my worst dream would be to, meet somebody that just goes, "Yeah, we're in a band. Yeah, we've got a
that.
single out." So thank you for entertaining me and entertaining everyone that's listening. Uh,
You're welcome.
and yeah, come back when the EP's out. Do
Oh, yeah, we will.
do
That'd be
some more
awesome.
promoting on that. And
And I'll bring some of the other bands with
yeah,
me. I'll let them out to join in for a bit.
that'd be fantastic. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much. It's
Thanks.
been awesome. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you to our guest. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to hit us up on any of the socials. And our website is www.mondostreet.co.uk. Looking forward to seeing you again on our next episode. Bye.